Staying in contact. I'm London Mitchell. With its demographic diversity, the greater Toledo area is a wonderful place for market research. My guest is Lori Dixon from Great Lakes Marketing, who says if ever there was a community of influencers, it's us.
I consider Toledo kind of a slice of Americana. We have great diversity in our population with respect to demographics and ethnicity and diversity. But we also have residents who have exposure to some of the greatest cultural opportunities. We have big city life, we have agriculture. So we're a very diverse region. That allows companies to come to the Northwest Ohio area and interview people in which their products are most relevant, all within one area. So it makes us a very cost-effective and interesting group to talk to.
Can you identify some of those products you're talking about that Toledoans have had an influence on?
Sure, the list is very long, but some of the more relevant ones for today, we've been doing a lot of work in the area of button batteries. And you probably don't even think about them, but they're the little cell batteries or the tiny little flat discs that are in almost every electronic in the house. So your remote controls and even greeting cards and the kids' tennis shoes that light up. But they're those little cell batteries. And you might notice if you buy them that lately it's been a little harder to get into the packaging because it may require scissors or an extra tear or punch. Those are called safety packages, and they're designed to keep children from accessing them, but they're also designed so that a senior adult can get into them. Over the years in Northwest Ohio, we have tested those packages with adults throughout the community at events and fairs and senior centers to make sure that senior adults can get into them. We also take those packages to nursery schools throughout Northwest Ohio and make sure that children cannot easily get into them. And through all that testing, those packages are then designed and sold throughout the globe. So those button battery packages are actually being sold in the products in Malaysia and other countries who are trying to emulate the safety standards of the United States.
You mentioned blue batteries.
Well, okay, so here's the other element that's been very interesting that, again, Toledo children help determine this. When a child picks up one of those little button batteries and pops it in their mouth, the parent may never know, and the consequences are horrific. So if a child swallows a cell battery, it's really, really important to get them to the emergency room right away. One way for a parent to know if a child has ingested that battery is now the batteries have a blue coating and it's tiny dots. It wouldn't impact you picking the battery up, putting it in the device. But when it's mixed with saliva, it turns the mouth of the child blue, their lips blue. So a parent can immediately see that toddler and say, hey, something has happened. I need to take action. And those life-saving minutes for the parent to be alerted and get them to emergency care are vital. Clever marketers and product designers that they are, they've also added a bitterant to the battery. Again, it doesn't impact you if you don't have saliva on your hands, but when that battery gets on the tongue of a child, it tastes terrible. So they want to spit it out. So, but to make sure that the colorant was the right shade of blue and dark enough and lasted long enough, and to make sure that the bitterant really was strong enough so that the kid would spit that tablet out or the battery out. We tested hundreds of children by putting the colorant and the bitterant on fake items, like a little Smartie shaped candy item without the sugar. So that the manufacturers know the exact intensity of those things. And, we love it because families in Toledo are willing to get involved to make products safe. So we are able to effectively recruit hundreds of families to participate. Admittedly, they get paid. They get paid well to come in and help, but it's vital that families and individuals take responsibility for making products safe, not only using them safely, but take some responsibility for helping manufacturers make them safe.
How do you develop the testing to make sure that the testing is on target and does the job the manufacturer wants?
Two things happen. First of all, we listen very carefully to what the manufacturer is concerned about. So it really is a partnership between the manufacturer, um, regulations and standards by the government or industry associations, and consumers. So the manufacturers have probably learned through industry associations and or experiences from their customers that there might be something that needs to be improved with their product. So we listen very carefully to the manufacturer to learn what needs to be improved, what concerns do you have. Then we think about ways, how do we test that? How can we safely test to see if there are possibilities for improvement? So we design observational forms where we might, in essence, just say to the child, please put this in your mouth and tell us what happens. So we observe the child. Do they put it on the tip of their tongue? Do they put it in the back of their mouth? How does the child explore? And then when we learn that, just from observation, we then maybe talk to the parent to say, hey, did you notice a blue color? What does your child do when something is bad in their mouth? Do they come to you for something to drink, or what do they do? So it's a lot of listening and learning and talking. And then the last step before we would ever test anything is we have what's called an IRB, which is an investigational review board. And we propose to this board how we're going to test it. And they tell us if they think that that is a safe and fair and appropriate test methodology for consumers and for children. So that board is comprised of nurses and industry experts and packaging engineers, et cetera, who have a whole lot of knowledge, and they help guide us in creating that test methodology.
So it sounds like a very involved process, but
Yeah,
the results are exactly what your customer is looking for, this manufacturer.
absolutely. The manufacturers want to do the right thing. It is incredible how responsive American industry is to listening and learning. And when they hear of a problem that has been identified, either through customer complaints or industry regulation, when they hear of problems, they want to solve them. And to solve them, they really need customer feedback because, I mean, when you invent something, you know exactly how to use it. You know why to use it. You know the safeguards. You put that in the hands of a novice, even an experienced carpenter or a really good parent. They don't know. They're not this. They don't live and breathe. This is such an inconsequential part of their day. How to store medicine or how to store batteries. Um, they don't think about it.
So I
So
imagine your research gets involved in the instruction manual that goes with a product.
we do. We do a lot of instruction design. Here's an interesting one. You know what, naloxone and Narcan, all of those products now to give an immediate reversal to an opioid overdose. In the first distribution of those, when first responders and police and emergency care individuals had that product, it was a needle, an injection. So can you imagine a panicked EMS person assembling a needle to give to somebody who's in an overdose situation? Not ideal at all. Industry responded by creating a packaging and delivery system so Narcan can be immediately injected in your nostril. And It's a clever, clever package where you can hold it in your hand in one hand. You can hold the back of the neck of the patient and you can insert it very easily. And a novice can do it. You know, you don't have to be an EMS. So we tested that package at facilities across Northwest Ohio to make sure that a person was physically able to hold it and inject it. The next step was, how do we write directions? So in that very panicked state of this person being overdosed and you being responsible for their recovery, how quickly can you digest those in directions and hold it the right way and inject it? So we tested the instructions, we modified the instructions multiple times. And what you see in the marketplace now are instructions that were designed by residents throughout Northwest Ohio.
You mentioned earlier that residents in the greater Toledo area here in Northwest Ohio are willing to get involved. Someone listening to us right now would like to get involved, would like to get in on the ground floor. How can they do that?
It's very easy. You can join our consumer opinion panel. Just type in your browser asktoledo.com. ASKTOLEDO.com. And it takes you to a little form and you fill that out. And then we'll send you an email that says, hey, thank you for wanting to get involved. Provide a little more information. The reason we need a little more information, we are not nosy. We don't share it with anybody. I mean, we are governed by every ethical board possible. We never do anything with your information other than make sure we send you questionnaires or product testing opportunities that are relevant to you. So if you are an 18-year-old with no children in your household, we're not going to ask you to bring your kids in to test something. But if you're an 18-year-old who likes to go out into the community, we might ask you a survey about entertainment opportunities, restaurants, and transportation, so you don't have to drive when you're out. So we want age and other questions strictly so you're in the target market for these products. Otherwise, you know, you wouldn't want to fill out the survey. It's not relevant, and they're not trying to meet your needs. So
Again, going back to my original question and the purpose of our conversation, we live in an area that has multiple demographics and just gives you a treasure trove of those demographics to help make the research viable for all your different customers. And on your website, you list a multitude of national clients
mhm.
that Northwest Ohioans have helped in the long run in their market research. Can you run through a few of those for us?
Sure. If you walk down the pharmacy aisle anywhere, there aren't very many pharmacies left, but if you walk down that part of a grocery store, you look at all those packages, probably 70 to 80% of those packages that have safety features have been designed by influences from people in Northwest Ohio. There's only 4 labs across the entire nation that provide this kind of guidance. Every lighter, a cigarette lighter, a grill lighter, a little torch to make creme brulee, all of those products, all of them, 100% of them have been tested in Northwest Ohio because we are the only location in the nation that tests the child-resistant features on all of those lighters and multi-purpose lighters. And it's we do them in nursery schools and we do them here. As I said, the batteries being sold globally, the packaging and the unique features have been designed here. There are many food items that have been tested in Northwest Ohio. Taco Bell is a big test market. They use Toledo as a test market, and we've done many studies, and they roll out products nationally if the restaurants in the test market here do well with them. So the list goes on, and I know we keep talking about Northwest Ohio, but your point is well made. Our clients are national. So if you're listening to this and you're not in Northwest Ohio, you can still join that panel because many of the things we have done are for national organizations, like the Social Security Administration. We did a national study using our panel, and we provided documents that are on the Social Security Administration website. And we asked people to read them and then tell us, what do you think they say? And that was a tool so that the Social Security Administration could understand that a normal person with none of this background about Medicaid and Social Security and blah, 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 they couldn't understand it. So we helped them simplify and prioritize the presentation of the information.
Lori Dixon from Great Lakes Marketing. If you'd like to get on one of their test panels, log on to asktoledo.com. I'm London Mitchell, inviting you to join us again next week as we continue staying in contact.
Previous installments of Staying in Contact with London Mitchell are available on the Stream 419 app, Spotify, and londonmitchell.news.